Dearly redheaded, we are choosing consciousness today to get through this thing called grief. Interesting word, grief. It means love, which makes for a mighty good joke. But I'm here to tell you, there's nothing else. Just joy. And if the big picture tends to bring you down, go crazy once your life goes. Woo!
All right, you ready? There we go. Thank you, Brian. Brian and I just met today.
We did. This is our first date.
Ooh.
Second, if you count the first episode.
Well, I don't want the third because I know where that leads. Hello. Episode 2 of the relaunch. I ended episode 1 promising to talk about Carl Jung. I believe he came up through years. I was very interested in psychology, so I'm sure he was there. I would say that I remember Freud toppled him. So he kind of dream work was attributed to Jung, and it's such a small part of who he was and what he did. I know a lot because of what I've read, but I also know a lot of because what I know and feel. I started before my mother passed, after the spiritual awakening, to realize I was likely what I'll call an energy alchemist. I will also call myself a blue comedic healer, so pick your poison. Very similar. And I rarely read books front to back. I just tend to read where I'm guided. I allow myself to feel and be guided. I've been guided my whole life, but I was derailed for reasons I'm not going to get into. Eventually I'll get into it. So when I started to really feel my mother's energy dwindling, and wanting to figure out where I was going to head when she left her body, I had a bunch of books surrounding me. I had books. I had the Red Book, Jung's book, the reader version. There's a more in-depth version that I am now reintegrating back into my life. I have to be really careful because of the energy, if that makes sense. I'm sure it makes sense to men and women. Just let it make sense. When I surround myself with anything, I have to be careful. I manifest good things, and I can manifest unfortunate things depending on my thoughts, depending on how often I meditate, how often I have enough solitude. I have to balance the capacity for what I'm doing now with solitude. It's a capacity thing. It's not a functioning thing. I could argue about what it means to be a female and autistic until we're all 106. But anyway, back to Jung, back to the book. So I stack books around me. I had started to do this before my mom died. I would stack the books differently depending on what I was trying to think about, process, write down. At the time, I worked with a very gifted psychologist. We have since parted ways. My podcast with him, Dr. Rob Sanducci, you will be able to access soon. Conversion Works will put it up. And that shows you a time where we were deeply connected. Why that relationship is no longer will come out through the unfolding of all of this. He was Jungian. And the thing about Jung that I've come to understand is that he spent a period of time really challenging his own mind. to go to places that I dare to say other people wouldn't. I will know a lot more and be much more opinionated on it once I have the Red Book in my possession again. When I had the books around me, it was just amazing what I could contemplate, both comedically and all the topics I love, spiritually, psychology, neurology, all that shit. I had Carlin's book next to me. I had Maria Bamford's book. I had books on Mary Magdalene. Mary Magdalene is big in my life. We'll get there. I'm surprised I hadn't mentioned it already. Mary Magdalene is a persona. This Natural Born Redhead's a persona. But within Natural Born Redhead, I have several characters I want to develop. And a Mary Magdalene character with a beautiful sense of humor is going to come from that. So I stacked the books, and then I'd start to write and start to think. And Jung, just his energy is magnificent. I would be very careful about his energy so that it didn't, anytime I tuned into what he called the collective unconscious, which I now relate to the collective conscious. I sometimes think our unconscious is more conscious than our unconscious is more conscious than our conscience. Yeah, that's what I mean. Okay? That's what I mean. So, I just was reminded by my own brain that one of my favorite one-liners is, "You're smoking the green." So I swear to Buddha, I'm not smoking the green. So back to Jung. I bought a book. Jung's IQ was high. Beats me by at least 20 points, I would imagine, and that's a fucking guess. So I was trying to find something that could bring him down to a place that most people can benefit and appreciate it. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, because conceptually his concepts weren't highly intellectual. They were really human, especially as we try to navigate this 3D experience. I believe in other realms. I believe in other dimensions. This is not that time or place, but he did too. And I think that's one of the reasons history reduced him to dreams and didn't talk about the things that are all over the place now, just called by different names. Wayne Dyer once said, we all channel. And I think we do. It's just a matter of how tuned in we are to ourselves. And that's, that then can help us relate to one another, especially balancing those male and female energies. So I'm going to read, I don't know if I said the author's name. William Ward came out fairly recently with this book. I believe there's a little bit of a puzzle where William Ward is concerned. I believe he's behind, and it's a guess, behind one of the wonderful YouTube videos about Carl Jung. There's a ton of them. I pay attention to Carl Jung, the person, in interviews. But, comma space, there are some wonderful, I don't look at the camera a lot, I apologize, hi. But there are some wonderful interpretations of Jung and modern day interpretations, which I do too, I'm guilty of that too. But I'm not trying to be an end-all, be-all where he's concerned. I'm just trying to have you, if it resonates, to grab onto something that can help you make you feel better about whatever it is you're processing. So here we go. And I might, my brain is always very quick to comedy. A good being in my world. I'm trying not to use people's names. He knows who he is. He's been in my life since I was 15. I had a wicked crush on him, and we're still friends. He told me that he knew, on pretty good authority, that Carl Jung's balls were 2 different sizes, and one was hairier than the other. It's been passed down through the generations. Now, I don't know if the larger ball was the hairier ball, but, maybe we'll figure that out too. All right, William Ward on Jung. There's something timeless about Carl's work. I'm not going to say Jung. Something that continues to speak across cultures, generations, and personal journeys. Whether you're a therapist, student of psychology, or simply someone who's trying to understand yourself and your place in the world, Carl offers a deep, meaningful, and often surprising way of looking at life. This book was born out of a desire to make Jungian psychology both accessible and empowering, to walk you step by step through the core ideas that have helped millions of people unlock their inner lives. Many people first encounter Carl through quotes about dreams, archetypes, or the shadow. His words often feel like riddles at first, mysterious but magnetic. You might hear someone say, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate, and feel an odd mix of recognition and confusion. What does this mean exactly? How do I make the unconscious conscious? And what is the unconscious anyway? This book is here to answer those questions in clear, grounded language. You don't need a background in psychology or philosophy to understand Carl. You just need curiosity, openness, and a willingness to look inward. Carl didn't just study the human mind. He traveled through it, faced it, and mapped it for others. He gave us frameworks for transformation that are still incredibly relevant today. Why does he still matter? In a world full of fast answers, Carl invites us to slow down and listen to the soul. He challenges us to go beneath the surface, to move past social roles, labels, and external success, and explore who we really are underneath. He believed that healing isn't about fixing something that's broken. It's about becoming whole, and wholeness means including what we've denied, rejected, or forgotten, which is the shadow. I'm adding that. Jung's Carl's work, gives us permission to explore the parts of ourselves we don't fully understand, our dreams, our moods, our fears, our longings. He doesn't separate psychology from mythology or science from spirituality. Oh, is anybody else turned on? To him, everything is connected. Your personal story and humanity's collective story aren't 2 different things. They're woven together. And if you can read the symbols and patterns in your own life, your synchronicities, you can find meaning even in struggle, even in confusion. The timing for this kind of work has never been more important. We're living in a moment of deep psychological tension. People are anxious, fragmented, overwhelmed. We're bombarded with information and starved for wisdom. Social media shows us highlight reels, but not the real inner world of being human. Jungian psychology brings us back to something deeper. It's not about perfection. It's about integration. It's about learning to hold the contradictions within us and live more consciously. And I think that's enough. Again, William Ward, Jungian Psychology Step by Step, 2005, available on Amazon. All right, Amazon's not a sponsor yet, so that's all they fucking get. So back to, I'm holding a prop and it just fell, and I'll reveal it soon. So I was fortunate enough to have a previous relationship with someone I called my guide, who also happened to be a psychologist. And our relationship was interesting, I'll give it that. I didn't do and haven't done traditional cognitive therapy in a long, long time. So when this person and I would discuss Jung And I would leave. I talked to him about once a month. It truly was a guidance thing. It was not, well, it was some type of therapy, but it was very unusual. And quite frankly, I didn't think about how unusual it was. I think because I'm the type that recognizes that AI has us known as multidimensional beings, I didn't really think about discussions, human experience, 3D. These conversations weren't unusual to me because I think that's where we're headed, where we're going, and where we've been. If you relate to multi-dimensions, if you relate to what's going on, what's really going on. And I'm not trying to be out there, and very validated by Jung and others. There's so many others, and there's so many others doing really good work. And if I remember, Brian, and maybe you can remind me at the end, I'll mention more names. I don't want your journey to be my journey, though. I think if you do some deep breathing and find your higher self, whatever that means, if it's nature, if it's meditation, if it's walking the dog, if it's anything that grounds you, to just start asking more of yourself. And the answers come. And this psychologist that I worked with would explain to me his own insights that were very validating. He would indicate to me that when the higher self, he would have said it differently. I'm trying just to give you a flavor, not a dissertation. He would say when we get those answers, he would know for himself that it wasn't himself because of the nature of the answer. And the same thing happens to me. I have a lot of guidance, a lot of direction. It's never a different voice. It's always been my own voice. I just had to separate that from the thoughts, and quiet the thoughts so that my higher self could regain her position. I also have spent an inordinate amount of time balancing my female and male energy. I have been in survival mode for decades. My persona on stage is very male. I don't want the podcast to come across that way. I want the podcast to attract, again, men and women that want to feel closer to one another, and can pick up something along the way to just add some peace, solace to their lives. That's the purpose. So after my spiritual awakening, I was able to deduce, in addition to talking to this person about what I was going through, experiencing. I'm going to be a little light on that right now, but nothing that other people aren't capable of. It was all just a manifestation of my intuition. The synchronicities. Oof. See, it's hard for me sometimes to go to the left brain. My right brain is really dictating this. Synchronicities. There we go. In my life have always been exceptional, like to the point that it's comical. I mean, the way I've been pounded on, I'll get shown something one way and then, I've got to be shown another way, and then it's got to be confirmed another way. And it's just because I was so derailed from myself, I had abandoned myself, that I just really needed explanation, validation, divinity, you name it, I needed it. And this all works into what I would bring monthly to my guide to work through. And he never made me feel that I was, that there was anything wrong. I would often ask, I'm just autistic. I just have CPTSD, and I think both those things allowed me to push my mind to a place that most people would be scared of. I mean, I am scared of my own shadow, not because of good and evil. That's really not what it's about, but about examining things that I contemplate, do contemplate. My sense of humor is a manifestation of the depth of my shadow, and I'm okay with that. I've disappointed others greatly, but I'd like to think that I don't use comedy to work through anything that I haven't worked through. To the contrary, comedy does me. I don't believe in free will anymore. I used to, and I don't anymore. If that sounds like something I stole from Jim Carrey, I did. And by the way, Jim Carrey's book is buried in my backyard. That's an energy that I have deep, deep respect for, but need to, and others. There's so many. And I encourage you all to find your own. What Carrey taught me most of all is that I carry the mirror. He carries the mirror. And you have, in my opinion, you have great responsibility when you hold the mirror. And again, reeling it back into Carl Jung, he did too. And he continues to be the mirror, the ultimate mirror for me. Why? It just, nothing makes more sense. I listen to modern day gurus talk about him. Jordan Peterson is one. I'm trying to think who else. And my energy towards modern day gurus is, I take what resonates, I leave what doesn't. I think Jordan has made some brutally intelligent, but I take it with a grain of salt. When it resonates, it does. When it doesn't, it doesn't. I don't have an overarching guru. Well, Jung, but that's like, he's in so many other people. It's not like just having one. So there's my hypocrisy. Time check.
22.
Fuck.
You're rolling.
Motherfuck. Fuck, cock, cunt. By the way, women are dicks, men are cunts in my world. I've been called a lot of things. All right, I'm going to stop there because I got to fucking regroup. I think you got your intro to Carl Jung. I might mention I spent 30 years in finance. I love finance. I love the company I'm affiliated with that I cannot say or won't say until they're a fucking sponsor. I love the boys. I hope that's evident. I love the boys, and I love the women's, and I love the variations of all of us and all our energies. I really didn't expect this to be over, but I think it's a good place, right?
Yeah, before we head out, you did say you were going to mention a couple names.
Oh, the gurus?
Yeah.
All right.
Give them the names.
Oh, give them the names. Comedically, CK, but, we need to have a conversation. Bill Burr. God, he's gotten so much more interesting. Bill Hicks, Carlin's on the desk with me today. Fuck, cock, cunt is a tribute to him. If you don't understand why, I'll explain it when somebody asks me to. Maria Bamford, my favorite female comedian, Taylor Tomlinson. If somebody asked me to write for her, I'd shit can this podcast and go to work. She's something. She doesn't know it, But, well, maybe she does. Maybe that was unfair. That's the only edit I want. Fuck it. Let it go. For the men out there, and this is just see where you're led. I think one of my female guides is Dorothy Parker. For who that resonates to, and that reminds me of the Ballad of Dorothy Parker by Prince, one of my favorite Prince songs. Dr. Romney, Brene Brown, Mel Robbins, women doing incredible things. There are so many. And find your everyday gurus. You don't need this caliber to make yourself feel better. In the male realm, Wayne Dyer. I've always said I want to be Wayne Dyer with expletives. In my opinion, he was ahead. He was just so ahead. Just so ahead. Peter Crone. Lee Harris for intuitives. That's very interesting. Jeff Foster, that's who I started my first podcast with. Jeff is phenomenal to listen to, meditate with, but his writings are magnificent. I mentioned Jordan Peterson, Joe Dispenza. He doesn't resonate too much with me, but I see the value he brings. So my point is just see where you're led. I promise you, in my case, things have to come in threes. The door's always open. The opportunities are there. Just pay attention. Pay attention.
Thank you for listening and supporting Natural Born Redhead. If you follow the bouncing balls, please like and subscribe. If you know someone interested in sparing others grief and inciting joy, message me on Facebook or reach out via my website, Natural Born Redhead. J Ma.